Welcome to the Self-Publishing Corner. I'm your host, Cheryl Denise Bannerman, multi-genre author and publisher, and I'm thrilled to bring you another insightful episode filled with tips for writers and authors. Today we have an incredible guest who's making waves in the publishing world, Elona Washington. Elona is a 3-time Amazon best-selling author with an impressive 25-year career in marketing, including a decade of experience in both self and traditional publishing. She's the powerhouse behind The Author's Journey, an award-winning indie publishing company recognized by IngramSpark as an expert in book marketing. As a proud member of IngramSpark's Pro Publishing program, she has crafted award-winning campaigns for New York Times and USA Today best-selling authors. But her true passion, helping all authors build their authority, connect with their target audience, and turn their books into thriving ventures. Welcome, Elona.
Thank you for having me, Cheryl.
Nice to have you. We're going to jump right into your journey,
Okay.
your author's journey. This is an incredible support for writers, from self-publishing cohorts to marketing strategies. What inspired you to create this platform?
Well, I self-published my own book back in 2016. And when I started marketing it, I realized I loved marketing more than I loved anything else. So I had some success with it. And the people in my community started to ask me to self-publish their book. And I obliged. I did some ghostwriting. And as I got more involved in the authors community, meeting other publishers, they would have me speak to their authors about marketing. And what I realized is a lot of authors, myself included, are introverts. They don't like marketing. They don't like putting themselves out there. But they all have these incredible stories. And I feel like if you were moved to come up with a story, write the story, pay and publish the story. Come on, sis. Come on, brother. You gotta market. Yes.
That's so true. That's so true. Well, I think it's great what you're doing. How does your program stand out from other programs?
Well, while I provide publishing services, I assist with self-publishing, and I have a hybrid publishing arm as well. It doesn't matter how you're published or with whom you're published, I'm going to help you sell more books. So a lot of people come to me, they have been published with somebody else, even traditionally published, and I help them sell more books. So it's not that I'm keeping everything just for my authors. I want everyone to sell more books.
Wow, that's incredible. Marketing is a passion for you, which is rare among creatives.
Among introverts, yes.
Yes. So, what excites you about it?
Love the strategy. I love, when people say you can't do something, I was that child to be like, hold my, sippy cup, and I would do it, right? I didn't want
to just wait. I'll show you.
Yes. So my bachelor's degree is in African American Studies from Howard. I wanted to be a professor, but my first job out of college was marketing, and I never looked back. Every job I had was marketing or sales. And I just love to be able to connect with people and to help people see there's a benefit in a product or service to make their lives better. And that's what books are doing. Even a fiction book can help a mom with, 5 boys escape for a few minutes a day.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It is an escape for sure. Mindset, that actually moves right into the next topic. Sometimes, and I'm sure you've experienced it, people come to you, they have self-doubt, they have imposter syndrome. How do you help them overcome those challenges?
Most of my authors have that, yes. And the way I help them overcome it is by having them refocus on their why. There's a reason, even for, urban fiction authors, there's a reason why they decided to write that book and tell that story. Every book, whether the author intends to or not, has a message, has a
Mhm.
lesson. So once I help them realize that there's a why or a reason for them to have their story out there and have it published,
Yeah,
it reignites them. And I think a lot of authors, and I'm talking about myself too, right? They look at what someone else is doing or someone else is doing.
sure.
They may be on social media, but then they read that, Sari Jones did a bulk order at a library for 20,000 copies. I don't know, I'm making something up, right? And so
Yep.
then you get shiny object syndrome, and then you jump over there and try to
Yes.
replicate it, but
Yes.
you're not her, right?
No.
Get 20,000 sales in your lane. So I try to help them stay focused on their lane and remember their why.
Yes. Yeah, because in every book, there's a piece of us. Um, it could be deep, dark, and personal, but there's a meaning, and that's our why.
Yep.
Yeah. When authors sign up with you, like, do you have a process that you take them through?
So when they sign up for which service? Are we talking about the book?
The author's journey.
Okay. Well, the self-publishing process
Mm-hmm.
is, we have a kickoff call. We go through their intentions, where they're struggling at. They go through a course, and the course has everything: how to get your ISBN, how to copyright it. I provide templates for the formatting, because interior formatting is a nightmare. That needs to be on a t-shirt. Oh my gosh. Like, I can't tell you how many calls I've made to Amazon
Yeah.
to format that book.
Yeah.
So everything is in there, and there's
Yeah.
even a section on marketing and sales.
Okay.
And I also help them with, I use my designers to help them design their book covers, so they don't feel like they have to do everything alone and
Right.
find their own resources. They're using my resources.
Right.
For hybrid publishing, it's a lot more high touch. We work together, and they all have a book marketing plan. They get traditional level distribution.
Okay.
But what I do that's different from traditional publishing houses, because I used to work at a Big Five,
Yeah.
is instead of making it available to everyone, I use a custom strategy. So a doctor, she just released her book with me. She's hybrid published. So I did research to the medical schools, the HBCU, Meharry, Howard
Mhm.
Medical Schools, because she talks about workplace stress as a woman and a Black woman doctor.
Right.
So I wouldn't want to put that in Barnes and Noble in the middle of Arizona, when the closest hospital is like 50 miles away. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make sense.
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
everyone gets a targeted plan. And then
Yes.
for my book marketing clients, I actually love it. I could do book marketing plans all day. Everyone gets a custom
You
book.
are a rare species, girl. I have never heard anybody say that in my life.
Man,
That's
if
like
someone comes
somebody
to me,
enjoying writing business plans.
yeah, and I do love writing business plans too for businesses.
Oh my goodness. Stop.
I love the research behind it and coming up with
Wow.
nuances and things.
That's a
So,
niche. I mean, that is a niche.
So my
Yeah.
book marketing plan, I do an audit of their current marketing, where they are, what's working for them.
Okay.
And then I just do my homework, and then I come up with a plan for them. And I'll give you an example. I've done, I don't know, maybe about 6 or 7 plans this year alone, but only one person has fully executed it. And that goes back to that imposter syndrome,
Yes.
introvert. But this one guy, we all know who he is by his face. We may not know his name. Ernest Krem. He is our Black History teacher on the internet. He always has the history, and then he has like a little square with his face and a big afro off in the corner. He's always giving Black history facts. So he has 800,000 followers across all platforms.
Amazing.
450, I think, on IG, right? So he published with somebody else.
Right.
He got his pre-order link like November, December. I talked to him in January. He had only sold 2,000 books. And I was like, ain't no way. With 800,000 followers, ain't no way. So I created a book marketing plan for him. It was 36 pages long.
Right.
He just went off and did it. In a month and a half, he sold 8,000 books.
See? So if you put aside the self-doubt and follow your plan, it seems like it's very effective. And I think it seems like a combination for you, a skill combination between book knowledge, traditional publishing, marketing. It just seems like you have a combination of skills that is just the perfect mix.
Thank you. Thank you. I didn't think about it that way. I just love coming up with new ideas to reach people.
That's amazing. Well, I've heard you say that there's little difference between self-published and traditionally published authors when it comes to, challenges that we face. What did you mean by that?
Mean that people are people. Whether you're signed or whether you're self-published, you may be an introvert. You may not know a lot about marketing, or you may not feel confident enough to market, or you may have shiny object syndrome and go from here to here to here to here, right? So having a traditional publishing backing can help in some ways, but you still have to do the work to sell your book.
Yes. Yeah, because I heard a lot of people seem to be under the impression that if you traditionally publish your book, that they handle everything. Well, that used to be the case, but it is not anymore.
Yeah. So when I worked for a traditional publisher, we spent 6 weeks marketing a book. And everyone's budget is different. And my conclusion was they could have done it themselves. Not everyone gets the same level of support. And I think all authors know that, right? You have A-list authors, and then you have other people who are like, sorry. But the people who found the most success were the authors who said, okay, that's great, traditional publishing house, you're going to do this, but I'm going to do this in addition to it. I'm going to have my own marketer. I'm going to have my own PR person. I'm going to create my own sales sheet, and I'm going to get out in the streets and introduce myself to these bookstore owners so they know who I am. They can put a face to the name, because think about the number of calls and emails they get. And put my book in your store, put my book in your store, but never taking the time to have a personal connection with them. Who do you think they're gonna carry?
Yeah, the person who they've met. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So your experience with marketing fiction, specifically Amish fiction and other genres, is remarkable. I'm sure it's given you some valuable insights. What do you think that every author should know about targeting their audience effectively?
Understand who your audience is. I was talking to someone in a group, and I was telling her about this 5-day challenge that I'm putting together for authors. And she asked me why I'm starting with defining your readers. And I said, because most people start they start writing without actually sitting down to find out who their readers are, what their
Yes.
keyword phrases are, where they spend their most time, the comparable titles they're reading. They just start writing because it's their story they want to get out. So the number one thing that anyone can do is to understand the
Mhm.
readers. I had never heard of Amish fiction in my life, and they were like,
Right.
you got to market these books. And so what's the first thing you think I did? I started reading Amish fiction. I started going
Yeah.
to the review section, the Goodreads of the titles that I was marketing, and I
Yeah.
started looking for common keywords, common phrases, common emotions that people got when they read the book,
Yeah.
and it allowed me to market it. When I worked at that house, my ads were in the top 3 every single month.
Mm.
Sometimes it was first, second, and third. Most times it was first and second, but I always had the top ads. And my boss had asked me, like, what was I doing? I said, I'm just regurgitating what the readers are telling me. They're telling you what they
Mm.
love about your book. You may have written your book because you want people to feel excited, but your readers may be like, yeah, I feel excited, but I also feel inspired, right? And
Mm.
so if you're noticing that everyone is saying your book is inspiring them, where you didn't think of your book that way, get out of yourself and start using the same keywords and
Right.
phrases that they're using about your book. And that's how you're going to reach more readers.
Wow, that's great advice. I wonder if there's a way to research um, where Amish books are selling the most, like as far as location and store. I know IngramSpark is terrible. They have no type of tracking whatsoever. But do you know of any?
I worked with a sales team, but I don't recall where they were putting the books when it came to brick and mortar places.
Yeah, that's what
But
I mean, the brick and mortar. It's so
mhm.
hard to track that. And I wish that they would come up with a solution because it would really give us some insight on demographics.
I agree, but I will tell you the Amish authors are very, very niche. They know who their audience is. They're not trying to be out on all these socials, on Clubhouse, on TikTok, on Facebook. Like
Yeah.
their their website, their landing page is a community
Oh,
of
wow.
Amish books, Amish history, Amish language. So if you really love Amish fiction, you're going to go to where the authors are. You're not going to
Wow.
be on TikTok. I'm sure they're on TikTok, but they have their own ecosystem.
Yes. Wow, that's amazing. You're really passionate about not only helping authors publish, but also preparing for media appearances. What are your top
Yeah,
tips, like for helping them really make the most of those opportunities?
I wish I had the article next to me. You know, IBPA had me write an article about that. um, let's see, tips. I would say start local first and foremost. I have a book marketing client, and she's well known. She's won 3 Anthem awards. She has over 100,000 followers on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
Lisa Hurley, her book is debuting next month,
Okay.
and I feel like the world should know her. But
Mhm.
I think a PR strategy in other states outside of the tri-state area, New York, Jersey, and
Right.
Pennsylvania, may not know who she is, right?
Okay.
So always start local. They love to know that there is an author, a hero, some
Yeah.
famous person
In
in their
their
backyard.
hometown. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you a quick story about that. So I used to live
Hmm.
in Norristown, Pennsylvania, and I
Okay.
had an issue. I had an issue and I had to call the police. And the police officer came by. He talked to me
Mhm.
for a bit, and then he was like, "Oh, I'll do some research and I'll come back." And he came back and he said, I looked you up and I didn't realize we have a famous author in the community. I said, hold up, famous, that's a stretch. But yes, I'm an author. And he said, well, I told my police chief about you. I hope that was okay. But we just love to know that they're like, notable people in our neighborhood doing well.
Yes.
Journalists would love to know that there's somebody in their backyard they could call on as an expert. And
Yes.
those morning shows, they feature local people with products and services.
Yes. Yeah. Isn't that how Angela Lansbury was so famous?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Everyone in the little town, they were all excited that they had a famous author. Sorry, I still watch that show. And shout out to Jersey, by the way. Whoop, whoop.
Shout out to Jersey.
I miss it sometimes. Managing a business, running cohorts, and writing yourself is hectic. How do you maintain balance?
Well,
That's a lot.
Fortunately, I'm type A and I have OCD, so I have nothing but calendars and schedules and whiteboards and chalkboards and planners.
Yeah, we are very alike. Yep. So I guess for authors who are launching their first book, and of course we all know marketing is overwhelming. Do you have any first steps to just get going?
Remember your why, and every piece of confirmation or positive review you get, put it somewhere, put it on your desktop, make it your screensaver to always remember your why. And then number two, put yourself out there, say something. Nobody knows that you're having a book until you tell them that you're releasing a book. So you have to start talking about it.
Yeah, that's true. I used to make people laugh because, well, I still do it. I guess it's still funny, but someone will come up to me and we're talking or whatever, and they're talking about a book or something, and then they'll say, okay, bye. And I'm like, bye. And the person that's with me is like, how come you didn't tell them about your book or give them a card? Like, you didn't even tell them you were an author. I was like, I'm so terrible with that, honestly. So you can't be shy. You have to always be prepared and be ready to. It's not tooting your own horn, which is how I used to feel. Yeah, it's not.
Yep. Not at all. You're actually providing a service. So if you have a business book or a memoir or something that you think can help someone, then you're providing a product to help them, right? If somebody loves fiction and they love escape because they got a rack of kids or they work too hard and they're tired of, thinking politics 18 hours a day and they love urban fiction or science fiction, recommend your book.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Can you tell us what book project you're working on now? I know you are.
So I do have a client. So her name is Shannon Frizon. I'm probably butchering the last name, but she was the first Black woman openly gay judge on the Massachusetts circuit.
Wow.
Yeah. We're working on her book cover now.
That's a big deal.
Amazing. Big deal. Yeah.
Well, congratulations to Shannon and yourself on that project. I wish it much success. For listeners who are eager to find out more about the author's journey or Elona Washington, and they want to get in touch, what's the best way?
I spend most of my time on LinkedIn. First and last name. You can follow my business page, The Author's Journey.
Excellent. And we'll have all of Elona's information posted below the video in the description area. Thank you so much for your time today. It was such a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it, Cheryl.
Absolutely. Well, that's our time, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Self-Publishing Corner podcast. And until next time, bye.